recording. So welcome everybody to our workshop today on using PowerPoint and Canva for presentations. Someone's just posting the meeting chat. Okay. So I'm Alison. I'm from the Southern Cross Postgraduate Association. I encourage you to become a member of the Postgraduate Association and join our community of postgraduate students. I'm recording, so I will post this recording to the SCPA YouTube channel. So I'll send that link out later when it's available to everyone. So thank you very much for joining, and over to our trainer today, Dr. Katie Hotko.
All right, thanks so much, Alison. So I'm going to share my screen with a PowerPoint slide here today, and I'll do that in just a moment. But before I get started, I really want to acknowledge the country that I am presenting online to you today. So I'm coming from the beautiful Yugambeh language group country, which is the Kumameri people up here on the beautiful Gold Coast today. I can see the sun in the sky after some rain, and so I want to really acknowledge the elders past, present and emerging, and really acknowledge the thousands of years of passed down ways of learning and connection to country, and pay my respects. And for me, I would like to acknowledge that this land always was and always will be Aboriginal land. So I'll just share my screen here. And so as we said before, let me just move your faces. I do encourage everyone, in this online land where we're communicating here, I encourage you, if you want to and you're willing, to pop your cameras on. I really encourage an informal discussion. So I'm really happy for you to pop things in the chat if you have any questions, or my preference is that you either pop your hand up or turn your mic off and gently interrupt me if I haven't seen your hand, and comment, ask questions, share your experience. Because I'm sure that we have a lot of experience in the room here with presenting and designing. So little bit about me. I finished my PhD through SCU last year. I'm in the Faculty of Education. My passion is all things creativity and the arts. So the way things look is really important to me. It may not be as important to everyone else, but for me, I think that there are more than just our verbal language, but communication can be through so many multiple modes, through visual means, as well as verbal and even dance. But I did dance yesterday in my tutorials. We won't be doing any dance today, but that's a little bit about me. Today, we are going to be talking about how our slides can be a little bit more visually appealing. I know that a lot of you may have sat through presentations in the past where you have had, I think there's a thing that we hear, the death by PowerPoint, where there's slides with lots of writing on them, lots of diagrams that are difficult to understand. So today I want to talk to you just about a few little simple things that we can do in our presentations to make them easier to understand for our audience, that help convey our message as clearly as we can. I know a lot of us here today are probably, actually I'd love to hear, perhaps you can pop it in the chat. A lot of us today here are probably doing postgraduate research. We might have a few PhD, master's, honours students in the room. I'd love to hear where it is that you're at and what it is that you are studying at SCU. Do we have, let me see. I know Christina's doing her PhD. We were chatting before we started. Who else here is, what are we studying today?
I'm doing a PhD too, Katie. I'm in Faculty of Health doing, my topic is mental health nursing.
Beautiful. Thank you, Anthony. I'll keep an eye out in the chat if anyone's typing into the chat there. Masters of Social Work, that's coursework. And so even if you're not doing research and you're not needing to communicate your research, within all of our work, we have a need to communicate what it is we're learning. And perhaps I know more and more in Faculty of Education, in the courses that we're running, we're actually requiring our students to do a lot more presentations, perhaps with a slide deck to communicate their information. I know it's more and more, and it will be more and more a requirement of assessment tasks in coursework, presentation work, perhaps as one way to combat the artificial intelligence and generated problems that we can be facing in our assessments. Presentations are more and more important in how we are communicating our knowledge with each other. And Zoe's in between PhD and her honours, and it was a fabulous project that I learned about last time I did a workshop, Zoe. So we all need ways to communicate. Today, what it is that we are going to look at is, I've got 4 different things we're going to look at, some really simple design tips. We're going to look at how we can use in PowerPoint, what inside PowerPoint software itself with the icons and images. Going to look at perhaps inserting some videos and pictures and where we can find those and how we can use those ethically. And finally, just a few tips for presenting. So those are the 4 things we're going to explore to do with PowerPoint. And then, all going well, the last sort of 15 to 20 minutes, I want to take you over to an alternative presenting software, which is Canva, which I actually use. It feels really odd to me to be using a PowerPoint slide here. I haven't used PowerPoint in quite a few years when I'm presenting, but it is perhaps the software that most of us are familiar with using. So I really wanted to show you some quick tips for how to use PowerPoint. Has anyone used Canva before to present? Do you use any other software at all? Perhaps you could pop it in the chat, or you can speak. Let me know.
Yep.
Zoe?
Katie, I've used Canva for creating illustrations and diagrams. Haven't used it at the moment for giving a presentation, but I'm actually really interested in that, and whether you can download the file and other people still use it as a general PowerPoint. I'm just not sure how the end product works.
We can talk about all of those things when we move on. And yes, you can. So it depends what you're comfortable with. A few people in the chat have said they've only used PowerPoint. Some have used Canva before. We're going to explore both of them today. So, and some of this stuff within PowerPoint here, particularly the design tips, that knowledge goes across all of our presenting. So first of all, we're going to cover a little bit about design in PowerPoint, and I really want to move on quite quickly from sharing my slides to sharing the back end of PowerPoint so that you can actually see how to do these things. But before we do, I just want to cover some of the basics. Hopefully this might be new information, it might not be to you, but I really want to let you know that you don't have to be an artist. I know I come from an arts background myself, but there are so many things out there at the moment that can just help you with general design. Has anyone had any experience with the artificial intelligence technologies within PowerPoint? Have you seen the background suggested ideas where PowerPoint gives lots of ideas about how your designs can look? Yes, it's great, Zoe, excellent. I perhaps will open it up and show you. There's lots of things there, but first and foremost, I just want to give some highlights of the things that I think are really desirable in our slides. First of all, I think it's really important that we do pick a color scheme. I know me personally, I love all bright colors, and I'm always tempted to just go like nuts with all the colors. But I think that it's really important to choose a selection of colors, perhaps 2 or 3 at the most, and keep them really consistent. You'll see in the slides today, I've gone against my personality and I've tried to pop really limited color selection. So all of my fonts, and all of the design features are all in grey. So I've done that on purpose to keep a really sleek, clean look. And I think it means that you're not really distracted by lots of different font colours and then different accent colours. It's important to keep it nice and clean so that you're not distracting your audience. One little tip that I have is I always, sorry, I'll just get rid of my glasses. I always like to choose that colour scheme through having a central photo. I know that we'll be talking about images soon, but there's you may have an image that you use, and I like to use the eyedropper. Has anyone had any experience using the eyedropper in PowerPoint? I'm going to actually stop sharing here the slideshow and show you the back end. I wonder if I can bring it up for you on my screen. I think I can. Can you see this here? The back end, I'm just making sure. Zoe, you can't see my... Yes, you can. Beautiful. So this is the back end, and I really want to show you one of the ways in which we can choose a color scheme based on, say, a photo. So for me, what I chose is I had this originally as a photo, and I thought, well, what color am I going to use? It was pretty obvious it was gray, but how you can go about finding that color is, say for here, I wanted to choose a color to really match this photo. And one way you can do that is you go to home, and this is where the colors are. Can everyone see that quite clearly? I know my mouse is quite small today. You can choose your font color by going down. You can certainly go to more colors, and you can see that PowerPoint does give us some color schemes that you can use. And if you're short on time, you can definitely just go with what PowerPoint offers. But what I like to do is go to the eyedropper. And then what I can do is I can choose a color from here, and I grab that color, and then it will always be available for me up in the colors again. And then I could decide that I want a, let's pretend I wanted, I'm going to insert, we wouldn't do this, but see how this blue probably doesn't quite work in that color theme there. But what I can do is I can go in here again, I can go to my eyedropper, and I'm going to try and find a color that I think will match really beautifully with that eyedropper, and grab it from my photo. And then I've got two colors that I'm going to use throughout my slideshow. And that's a way for me to really customize the colors that I'm choosing. Often photos already have a really beautiful, harmonious color scheme, and then we can really grab the exact colors that we want to work with from there. Does that make sense to everyone? Do you need me to demonstrate again where to find that color dropper? It is just up anywhere that you're adding color. So this up here for here is the shape fill. You're scrolling down past the theme colors that are all there, and you can go all the way down here to the eyedropper. And what it does is it opens a little square, and you can grab a color from anywhere. And that color there that I've got might be a little dark for you. And, you know, I can just move around on this little tongue and find a color that's more appropriate. So that's just a little tip I have for you. If you want to make something look really original and that it's really yours and quite cohesive, that's a way in which you can go about doing that here. So I might just move that away, and we'll move back to it. So that's my first little tip there, is limit your color schemes, keep it really tidy throughout it. And I do encourage you to think about the text as well. Sometimes we always just divert to black text, which is fine, but have a think about it. Perhaps you want to choose like a navy blue or something. Certainly wouldn't choose like a yellow text, because we do need to think about visibility and what is easy for people to read. You don't want to have really colors that are really quite light or really harsh on our eyes. Stick to some sort of more muted, darker colors for our text. And you're right, Zoe, I can see in the chat there some people are colorblind. So we do need to be careful with our color choices, but have a think about keeping like a cohesive story to your design. And you can do that by choosing your colors. The second thing that I want to recommend is that we streamline along with our colors is we want to really streamline our fonts. You'll notice with my design today, I tried to be really clean. And what I've done is I have just chosen 2 fonts that I'm using, and I am using those same fonts. Excuse me. I'm using those same fonts throughout everything that I'm doing. I've sometimes changed the size of the font, but I'm making sure that I haven't got like 5 different fonts. It can be quite distracting as well. So that's another thing that you would like to streamline. So this is the same font. I've changed the color there. So there's a little bit of contrast. I've got white on a dark background, dark on a light background, but I have kept that same font there. Does anyone have any comments or questions before we move on? All good? My next little tip in regards to design is that less is more. I know that often what we use is like a template, and you can see, I'm not sure if you've seen them before, but PowerPoint does offer templates. I would encourage you to perhaps avoid that if you can, because I think it's really important to try and make sure that every single thing that we have on our screen is there for a reason to communicate our message. And sometimes having these does everyone know what I mean when I say template? What I might do is I might pull my screen across again so that I can show you what I mean by template. So up in the top area here, there's a design, and you can jump on here. Here's quite a common one. Can you see that there? The green down the side, and then that happens on every single slide. Sometimes that is a really easy way to create a design, but I would encourage you that it's quite distracting. And when we're really trying to communicate our message, we want to make sure that everything on our page counts towards what we're trying to communicate. So I would perhaps suggest that I'm going to take that off, hopefully, because otherwise I've changed my whole design. Hold on a minute. Let me remove that. Oh, it's been a long time since I've used PowerPoint like this. So now I'm trying to figure out how to remove that from there. And you'll see just how distracting it can be. Okay. Have I done it? I've done it, and I may not be able to remove it. I'm sure I can remove it. Does anyone want to give me any tips about how we can remove this?
Maybe just close the file without saving.
And then we open it all up again. I'm sure there's a way to get rid of it. Hold on. What I will do is I will go here to view. And this is a way that what we've done is we've applied something to everything. So I'm going to go to the slide master here. Has anyone seen the background here of this type of thing? PowerPoint has the way of that you can go in. This is probably a bit complicated that you don't need to see, but I will show it to you. So you go to view, and then what we've got is the slide master, which is sort of the controls over everything on your slide. And what's happened here is this slide master has got the template applied to every single thing that we do. So I've just lost my mouse. Yeah. For some reason my mouse has disappeared. And what I'm wanting to do is delete this slide master. Does anyone have any questions why I try to sort this out? Okay, I've just removed the theme, and hopefully that has fixed it. Mwah. All right, so you saw my little panic there. I had to go to the slide master to remove that, but we are all good now, I think. All righty. So I'm just going to move that on out of the way and we will continue. So less is more. I do encourage you, think really carefully about what you're putting on the screen. And I think that those just chunks of color can be quite distracting to what we are trying to communicate. All right, and then the other thing I want to mention about less is more is, I don't know if you've seen animations used. I know when I was a kid and PowerPoint just came out, all the text was bouncing into the screen and we had lots of transitions in between the slides. I think you'll find that those can be quite distracting, but used really carefully, they can help communicate your message more clearly. So you'll notice here what I chose to do. And there was a few different ways in which you can do that. If we go back a few slides, whoops, I'm going the wrong direction. If we go back here, you'll notice that when I had this slide up here, I actually used an animation, which is where you select a few things to appear at once, and that can really help focus your audience. So you'll notice that this one here came up, got the design tips, the icons, inserting videos, then the tips for presenting, they come up one at a time. I did that through animations, and I would say that that's a really useful feature to help guide your audience, and you just move across with a click of the mouse. Another type that I've done here is, you can see that I'm wanting you to focus on this text here. But when I move to this next slide here, I'm wanting you to focus on this text. And I've kept this list up here, but what I did was I grayed that out so it's not quite as obvious. So you know that this is the one that we are talking about. And I've done that in a little different way, which I'm going to drag this across here. And so that you can see this first one here was done through animations. Is everyone familiar with the word animations when I say that? Is there anyone unfamiliar and you would like me to show you? That is probably a more accurate question. You're all. I'm happy for you to speak on the mic if that's easier. Otherwise, you can pop it in the chat. You don't want me to show you, or you're unfamiliar. So you can see here that there's like a little star next to the third slide here, and that shows that I've got an animation on there. So you can see on the back end that there's a little 1, a little 2, and a little 3, and that can be done through the animation tab up the top here. And I've just done an appear animation. So you can see as I click on this image, and I wanted both of them to come up, I've clicked on both images and held my shift button down so that you can, it's choosing both of them. And what I did was I clicked on this appear. You can see this pane that's open here, that's the first one. And then I created the second animation by clicking on it, holding my shift key down and selecting two things. And then I clicked appear and it comes up as the second animation. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah, no, that's good.
Beautiful. So that's one way of creating a thing that appears one after the other. Another way that I actually often use, because I find animations, they're fine, but sometimes I do it this way, which you can see on the side here. It's not using an animation, but I have this first slide here with one lot of text. And then I have highlighted this slide over on the side with my mouse. You can see that by the red button around it. And I'm going to use my keys with Control-C, or you could right click and do copy. And what you do then is that you insert, I'm doing Control-V, you can right click and paste. So you insert another box, another slide. And then what you can do, like I've done here, is that you keep the same text, but you slightly gray it out, and then you add your next lot of text. And then I've done it all over again here for my next slide. And you can see that I've grayed out other things that I still want you to remember that are in the list, but I'm drawing your attention to that next word. So that's another way that you can perhaps guide your reader to help them focus on what it is that they want to focus on. I hope that makes sense. I'm going to zoom across to our next and final tip for design, which is that I say go big or go home. What I mean by that is if you are adding an image, if you are writing any text, make sure it's large, because we're presenting in so many different spaces these days. Sometimes you'll be presenting, say, at a conference in a room, and you'll have like a big slide behind, a big screen behind you. You might have people sitting a long way back. They need to be able to clearly see what you're communicating. Make sure your text is as large as it can be, and make sure that your images, instead of putting really tiny images in, make sure if you can put an image in, make sure it's as big as you can be. And then the impact is really, really quite strong there. So that's where this message just before, that less is more, is really important, is that we don't want to have tons of things on our page, but when we do have them, we want them to be quite big. And so my suggestion there as well, I'm not sure what your experience is, but if there's text on the page, I'm reading it. And I'm not listening to who it is that's speaking, because I'm there and I'm reading that text. So my encouragement is, as you're trying to communicate your message, make sure you don't put a ton of text on the screen. Just the real highlights go up there to help push your message home. If, however, you really do want to, I know when I shared my thesis work, I've got participant quotes that I really highlight. I will put those up on the screen, but if they're on the screen, I'm reading them. So I don't want my audience to be reading while I'm talking about something else. If I've got it on the screen, I will read it out loud. And then my audience is still with me and they're not missing what I'm communicating. The other option that you can do is, if you have something that's really important and you want it to be written on the screen, give your audience time to read it. So if that's what you want to do, you can have it there, and you could say, here's some participant quotes that are really, important for my communication. Have a read. I'll give you a few minutes. And that's where you can stop, let your audience have a read. You can slow your heart rate down if you're presenting live and you're feeling really anxious, and you can take a sip of water. I think that is another little strategy. If you're presenting, that perhaps if you know yourself and you start to get a bit anxious, which we all do, you can put something on your slide that you're going to ask your audience to read, and then you go, read away, sip your water, your heart rate will come down a little bit, and then you can move on to the next thing that you're sharing. So that brings us to the end of the design tips. I have a couple more things to share with you. We are going okay for time, but I would like to open it up. Does anyone have any comments or questions about design? Before we move on, I am happy to keep going. No questions, comments? Beautiful. I'll keep going. I do notice in the chat that Christina has said that she thinks the uni has disabled the design suggestions on PowerPoint for their computers. I noticed that it's not on mine either, Christina. It hasn't come up, and I do have a little workaround for that that I am going to share with you on our final slide. So hopefully that will help, because we all, as SCU students, have access to the Word, the Microsoft Office 365. We should have access to that, and it does have online capacities that help us with a few of those things. So I've got a few tips for you there. Moving on to icons and images, and this is something that I'm going to pull my screen across and show you that I think is really valuable inside of PowerPoint. All of these icons that you can see up here have been sourced from inside the PowerPoint software. What it is in this set, it looks like this. And there's a few tips that you can customize them to make them look really good. So what I'm going to do again is drag across the back end of PowerPoint here. I will pop down to here. What I'm going to do, make room for my icons, is I'm going to just delete this image here. I'm going to go up to insert. So this is where we're going to find all of the tools and things that we can access. You can insert your own pictures, which we will talk about in a few slides down. You can use basic shapes, which I did before. If you're going to create like a flow chart or a diagram, you can use lots of basic shapes here. But the one that I really like is this icons. Give it a few seconds. Now, admittedly, this works best when you're connected to the internet when you're working. I think some of the things can be accessed through there, and you can see here that it says Go Premium, and there's some of the things that are only accessed via a premium account. Now, I know as an SCU student, we have access to that premium account, but for some reason, not on our computers. But you can access these premium items. This is the answer now, Christina. We're ready for it now. You can access the premium content through PowerPoint Online. Has anyone used PowerPoint Online before? Pop it in the chat. Give me a thumbs up if you have. I see Anthony shaking his head that he hasn't. So what it is you, a few have, and that's fantastic. And it's really great. There's a lot of different options that you have that I'll be talking about before. I don't know officially how to find it. I just type PowerPoint Online in Google and I click on the first thing that comes up. So like I'm sure that there's a better way than this for people who are smarter than me, but I'm just like a workaround kind of person. And up comes Microsoft 365 here. I click on it and comes up with a sign in button. Oh, I'm already signed in, so it's taking me there automatically. But I think what would happen for you if you clicked on sign in, you would put in your student email if you're a student, or perhaps if you're a staff at SCU, you put in your staff email, and it will send you to that login page of SCU's login page. And then once you're here, it looks like this. So you can create a blank presentation, and you can do everything that you can do on PowerPoint on your computer, but you can use it on here.
Could you send a link, Kathy, for this online? Yeah.
Sure. I wonder if
I will log into my personal.
Yeah. Let me try this, and I'll pop that in the chat. And let's see. I'm happy for you to go in and have a little go if you want to like Alt tab away from this screen and do it. What I want to show you, and this is what we were talking about before, and Christina, you said that it was missing on your laptop, which is true, mine is as well, but this is that artificially generated design, which are kind of like templates that I said to avoid before, but I actually think they're quite nice, these ones. And what it is that you can, presenting PowerPoint, and then you could insert an image. Hold on, let's insert a picture. I'm going to do it from searching the web. I'm ducking ahead a little bit here. I'm going to insert this beautiful picture of an animal. What's beautiful about this is that this is a Creative Commons image, so you're allowed to use it, and it's all still within PowerPoint. So I'm just inserting that image there. And what you can see is that artificial intelligence is not all bad. There's some really cool things that are designed down the side, and you can see the one that you like and you can go, man, that's awesome. I'm going to choose that. So you click that one, and then you might think, oh, this needs to be not over the top, and you can move it. You can still do things, but it gives you lots of ideas and you can go ahead and use them. So that's an example of the things that you can access using the online PowerPoint. And then the thing that I wanted to show you, I'm going to add a new slide in here, is the use of the icons. So I'm still up on the insert tab, which on your computer would still be the insert tab. I am clicking on the icons, and you can see here that everything is available, not just the things that are free to use. And so we can use all of these. So I'm going to show you here. The one thing that I think make these icons really important and usable is that you change their colors and you change their size, and it can make them look quite unique and really slick in your presentations. So for example, what I might do is business, let's see, a checkbox. If you have, let's do this one. And I'm going to insert it. So let's ignore what's happening in that designer side. That's a bit distracting. Here's our, and it's fine. There's nothing wrong with this icon. But what I really like to do, again, go big or go home. You can change the size of something, and then you can also change the color. So up here in graphics, you'll notice whenever something's selected in PowerPoint, there's a little tab on the far right side which helps you edit it, called graphics. And so what we can do there is we've got the graphics fill. Oops, I didn't want to change. Some of you might like that. That might be in your color scheme and you'd go for that one. But perhaps we could, again, we could randomly choose a color. We could go more colors here and choose something. Let's see. And we've customized our icon for exactly what it is that we need. We've got our color scheme. We've used the color from our color scheme, and we've created an icon. I think that that's a really useful thing that we can do. The next one within that icons is you'll notice there's a lot of things along the top. And one thing I really love are these options here. So all of these are free to use. Often I have a slide soon that we're going to talk about ethical use of images, but all of these are free to use. So you've got images of people that you can use within PowerPoint. You don't have to go searching other sites. Shut that down again. You can see how that design feature works there. So you can use any of those, or again, icons. I quite like this one here. I find this really lovely if you're trying to keep a really slick design and you want to have someone to reinforce your message. You can grab from here, and I think that you'll see that I've used one of these in my slides soon, but you can also customize them and put, you can have a fellow drinking coffee. Let's make him quite big, and you can give him the head. Has anyone seen these before? Is this all new information? I might give him that head. This is just playing around. Obviously, you think carefully about why and what you're doing, but you can see that I can customize this little fellow however I want. As well. So it's quite a flexible little tool that you have there. And this can be done. I just want to move this out of your way and show you what it's like just sort of on your computer. So again, this is available here. Some of them, you'll notice there's a little jewel up the top there that says it's premium content. So some of them aren't available on my computer, but I can go and do that on PowerPoint online. I can save it, and then I can open it up in my home computer if I want to, and it's all available there. So there's a few little cheap ways that we can do that. Let me go back. I've deleted that there. Change the colors, and it's more than just icons. All right, so we'll move this across. And we will move on because I do believe we are coming quite close on time here. The other thing that I'm going to leave with you is that you can really easily embed videos into your PowerPoints. It's as simple as going to that insert button before. There's a video tile, and then you can insert online videos. You just need a YouTube link. You can also upload your own videos that are MP4s. The only thing, I'll see if I can play this and I'm going to make it silent. The only thing you need to remember with this is if you are presenting at a conference that does not have access to the internet when you're presenting, you need to make sure that you have it saved as an actual MP4 video and you're not linking to YouTube. Because if you've linked to YouTube and you go to a conference and you're in a conference room that doesn't have internet access, or the internet access is patchy, you can run into a little bit of trouble there. With your video. So think really carefully, perhaps contact conference organizers to make sure that you've got internet access, and then you can embed YouTube videos that might have like a little explainer that you've pre-shown, or it might be footage that you've collected from your data or anything like that. You can embed that really easily, but you do need to remember, do you have internet access? What I have down the side here are some websites, of which I will share these slides with the recording, and you'll be able to access these websites. But these top 4 here are some suggestions for finding Creative Commons free use images. You can also use what's inside PowerPoint or Canva, but my encouragement to you is use your own photos. Save yourself the effort of going and finding photos on the internet. If you have a photo that you've taken yourself, use that. It makes more of an impact often. So that is my encouragement to you. Here's one of my people that I've just inserted here. I hope that you have seen, but I will show you here. When you're presenting, oops, I've brought across the wrong screen. Sorry. Here we go. When you're presenting, with PowerPoint, you can use things like the notes feature. And when you present, hopefully your actual screen is up elsewhere, and then you have the notes feature here. It can give you some ideas about what you're going to say. I wanted to remember to tell you to use the dropper and that you might need to access PowerPoint online. I haven't got a script here, but I've got some dot points of things I want to remember, and that can help when you're presenting your PowerPoint. And then the other thing that I really want to show you before we open up Canva is a powerful feature of this online PowerPoint. Has anyone had access to, while we've been talking, have you managed to log in to PowerPoint online? Or maybe you'll do that a little later. Yes, you have, and it was easy. Oh, wow. Beautiful. I did think it was easy, and I just wanted to make sure that everyone got that. Once you're in here, there is one thing that I've found that I absolutely love. I like to rehearse. I rehearse a lot, and I like to rehearse in front of someone, but my family doesn't want to listen to me rehearse. I have found on the online PowerPoint, I'm hoping, oh, here, it opened up already. There's actually a rehearse with an artificial coach, and it's a feature that you can, let's pretend I might actually go back here, and I might open up, oh, here's a tutorial that I was teaching the other day. Let's see if I can open it up. So here we are. This is my about dance that I was teaching the other day. If I wanted to practice that, I could go, there we go. I could go to the slideshow button here, and then I could click rehearse with a coach. And I'm hoping this works. I'm going to allow the use of my microphone. And there's a little coach, an artificial thing that will listen to you speak. And it will show feedback in real time here. So I'm going to, hopefully I can demonstrate this for you. Start rehearsing. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm pretending to rehearse this particular PowerPoint. We're talking look, I'm using the word too much and it's giving me some ideas. So I'm doing this and I'm doing lots of things, and then I'm going to go to the next slide, and then girls and boys, we are going to be talking about different things. So what I've done is I've tried to demonstrate. I'm going to pause it. Could you see that, or do you need me to actually talk to what was happening down the bottom there? What it did was I'm turning off the real-time feedback, because, to be honest, that actually stressed me out when I was doing that, but there is an option to have the feedback at the end. So I'm going to press play again. I'm rehearsing, blah, 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 pause. I'm going to escape out of that. And what it gives me, obviously I didn't actually rehearse very well then, but it gives me the time that I spent. It tells me whether my pace was good. It gives some different ideas. Good job, my pronunciation was clear. It actually gives you a little feedback, and it will time you. It'll tell you how long you've spent on each of your slides, and it can be a really good way to get some feedback. And it also, I said girls and boys because I knew that it would tell me this, but it actually will give you some ideas about inclusive language, if perhaps you're not using inclusive language in your talk. So I just wanted to share that with you. I think it's actually really helpful. We design these beautiful slides. Sometimes we do need to practice, and this is a great way to practice. So I'm going to turn that off. And what I want to do now is quickly show you. We're going to move. I know I've been talking a lot. If anyone has any questions, please pop them up for me. I am going to shut down this here, and I'm going to bring up Canva. One thing that I want to say about Canva is that I pay for it, and you don't have to. I pay for it because I use it all the time. I use it constantly, but there is a free version, and I'm just trying to bring the free version up for you. I've opened a and let me go home. Okay, so this is my free account that I have. Canva, it's simply canva.com, and you can log in, and what you see is a site that looks like this. Please don't be overwhelmed, there's a lot to it here, but if we're just focusing on presentations, I'm going to click on this presentation and just show you a few little things about how you can use Canva. Canva has a lot more than PowerPoint in terms of pre-designed slides. You'll see the little pro symbol here. That means that that version is not free, so you can't actually use it in the free one. But there are lots of decks that are really great that you can use that are for free. I'm going to just click this one and show you what this one is. So you can click on the template. So it's this button up the top, and it comes up with all these pre-designed slides. And sometimes you can even find one that is quite like what you do. Who was it? Was it Zoe? You do, is it birds?
Yes,
That's right.
And I actually looked up the templates just before we started, and I actually looked up thesis because I was trying to see if there was like a project thesis one, which there's a lot.
There's a lot, yeah, there is. There's all sorts, like I'm trying to health. Maybe I'll just do health because someone was from Faculty of Health before. I think it was Anthony. I've popped it in here. Look, I'm gonna click on this one, looking after our mental health. Boom. I've clicked it. It's dropped across here. It looks a little different to PowerPoint. You can see all your slides down the bottom here. I've grabbed this here. You could literally customize these words for your own. You've got these images here already. You can click this open. You might think, oh, this is really suitable. And then what you can do here is you could go upload. And oh, look, I think we might recognize Leslie. She works for the SCPA. I've got this here. I am just dragging it across and plonking the picture of Leslie in here. You can click on it and resize it. There's lots of different things that you can do. with Canva, I encourage you to have a little explore. The thing that I wanted to show you is how you can use Canva to present. And if you want to be a bit sneaky, I think Christina, oh, was it Christina? Someone wanted to be a bit sneaky before and not that it is sneaky, but download it to use it externally to Canva. And I want to show you that. So to do that, I need to drag across. I want to go to my actual Canva site and show you. I'll be presenting at the Praxis conference in a couple of weeks. It's my final presenting. This is the slide deck that I have sorted, or that I've started to sort. I'm a visual artist. I have a lot of images. I know not everyone has that type of content. This is what I do though. And when I present, what I can do, I just want to show you, is very similar to PowerPoint. I click present. I have the option of a presenter view, which is, has anyone seen the presenter view of PowerPoint? When you're presenting, it shows you, we'll have to leave that for another training, but I'll show you what the presenter view for Canva looks like, I hope. What it does is it opens up another window that you can open full screen. I'm going to get rid of that and show you the back end of the presenter view. So this is not what you'd want to share with your audience, but this is what you see as a person who's presenting. Perhaps if you're presenting at an online conference, it's really lovely if you've got two screens. You can have this up, it times you. You have your slide here. When I'm moving my mouse over here, you can actually see that beautiful dot. I find quite a handy thing when I'm talking. I like to point to things and I've got that nice dot. I move my slide. I have some notes here. I can talk about different things. When I'm presenting and teaching in a classroom, often I'll have something that's timed. Like I want you to think about something, take some time to write some notes. And you might even do that in a presentation. What I'm going to press here is the number 1. Oh, I'll take you over. Hold on a minute. Into full screen. I clicked the number 1 and a little circle came up in the top corner, and it's a timer that's counting down. So Canva, when you use Canva to present, there's a bunch of different features that are a little bit more interactive in how you can use it. So you have this timer that progressively the water goes down and the little duckies are swimming. And then when the timer goes off, it's really easy to do. Another thing you can do is you can do a drum roll, all sorts of little things. I think there's confetti. Although I don't know what that was, that didn't quite work. But there's a bunch of different things that are quite interactive with Canva and your presentations. You can see them up here with the shortcuts. You can do a curtain call by pressing, show that to you here. So, they may or may not be useful for what you want to do. They're a little bit flashy, but there's some extra options that you have. One of them that I quite like is the blur, which I find sometimes I'm a bit of a fly by the seat of your pants kind of presenter. And sometimes I don't want to have to shut down my screen. I want to really focus on something, and I'll hit blur, and then we can focus on what we're talking about, and then we can move away from that. So that's a very speedy way of sharing with you all of the things that Canva can offer. But I think before someone said, can we download these slides and can we share them? Yes, you can. What you can do is lots of different things. You can share a view-only link to your slides when you create them in Canva, and that's a link that someone else can access and they just see the slideshow. I'll just copy, open that up. I'll pop it in here so that you can see what it looks like. Comes up just like a little slideshow, and they can access it that way. You can also download. So what you can do is download it as a PDF. You can download it as a video. It's another way you can create videos, or you can actually download it as a PowerPoint slide. So if you like some of the features here from Canva, you can design everything in Canva and then download it as a PowerPoint slide and then present in PowerPoint, or pop it in PowerPoint and then fiddle with it again. And then if you're most comfortable presenting with a PowerPoint slide, or the conference you're going to does not have access to the internet and you need to save it on a USB, you can do it that way as well. So that is a really flyby account of what Canva can do. Does anyone have any questions? Before we finish up, I'm going to stop my share so I can see you all. Anthony has asked, can you explain how you access the free version versus the subscription? So when you sign up, Anthony, you go to canva.com, you'll sign up with, I do it with my email, but I think you can do it through Facebook or something like that. But sign up with, make an account with an email, and you create a password, and it's going to have a pop-up, and they're going to offer you a 30-day free trial of that pro account. If you're, I mean, for a while there, I don't know if I should be admitting this on a recording. For a while there, I signed up with an email and I did a 30-day trial and I cancelled it. And then I had a different email and I did a 30-day trial at another time and I cancelled it. You can do that. I just pay them. I love them. If you're a registered school teacher, you get free access to Canva Pro all the time, completely free. Or you can just sign up and use that free version, and there's heaps you can do. You can still present, you can create videos. I think you've got a max of 5 minutes that you can create when it's free. Still very good. You can create posters, Instagram posts. There's lots you can do that's free. There's just some stuff that isn't. You can upload your own photos onto it. How much is it? To be honest, I don't even want to remember. I think it's about $180 a year that I pay. So it's quite a lot.
Yeah, I know. I'm just I just had a bit of trouble actually logging into my account. I signed up a while ago, but it was kind of like the option to subscribe. Are you talking about just having the free trial? Is there an option where you don't actually subscribe?
Yep.
Yeah.
You just like, it should, because I did it this morning with a new email just to see what the because it's been years since I think I've paid for it for 4 years.
Yeah.
But I tried it with another email this morning, and it pops up with a box that says free trial. You just click the X on that box and it should go away.
All right.
And you can just use it for free. There's heaps for free.
Yeah.
I keep hoping that they'll let university students get it for free. I've been to national conferences from Canva, and they've said that it should be coming, but so far I haven't heard. I think it's an Australian company as well, which I think is really wonderful.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Too. We are at time, but I'm really happy to take a couple more questions. I know that I've talked a lot and I apologise. Perhaps we should have had a bit of longer time, but I'm happy to answer some more questions if anyone has any.
I'm good, but thank you, Katie. It was great.
It was a bit of a Zoom, wasn't it? Thanks, Zoe. But I want to thank everyone for coming. I hope lots of you are coming to Praxis, and if you are, I will come and find me and say hello. This is recorded. Hopefully we'll do some more towards the end of the year. Perhaps we'll do one completely on Canva. I think that could be really fun to explore the ins and outs of the different things. Thanks to everyone in the chat. But I am happy to stick around if someone has an extra question.
Great, thank you, Katie.
Have a wonderful day.
I have one question, Katie. It wasn't what you were covering off, but I've been trying to find or find a way to do a diagram and I want to do a representation of the coastline. But every time I find something, it's not quite right. Sorry, I'll put my screen back on.
I think you muted yourself by accident.
I outsmarted myself. Yeah, I just can't find anything simple. So do you think maybe I should just look at trying to create a line drawing in Canva or something instead, like build?
Ooh.
I'm just
That Canva has a drawing feature now that they didn't last time we saw.
okay.
I haven't tried it though, but it's new. They're trialing it here. I'll see if I can share my screen again.
Okay. Tough.
Well, I don't really want to mess up this one. Hold on. I'll just go somewhere else. We'll create a new presentation. I haven't even used it, so this is not coming from any sort of experience. And imagine if you had like an iPad with the pen, you could probably do that sort of thing anyway if you had all those equipments. But if you don't, it has, and then I'm assuming you can change the color of it. Yeah. You know, whatever, and then it's got the draw feature within Canva, and you wouldn't even have to go anywhere else for it. And you know what you could do is the other thing you could do is put what coastline, is that what you're looking for?
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure what you're looking for, but let's just pretend. See if I find something.
It's just something that sort of showed the water, sandy beach with sort of like the fact that the waves come up and then some rocky areas, just your typical East Coast coastline.
Let's just say, and I'm not saying this is what you want, because it probably isn't, but you could put a picture there and then do your drawing or whatever, using it. Then you're like, oh, I actually want something different. I want to do, I'm not doing this, but you know, you're getting the picture.
Yeah,
and
it's like
you do all of that. And then I'm just sort of clicking away from there. And then you could delete your background and then you're left with, I don't know, just as an idea.
That's like tracing paper.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I've done it. I've actually done it with children, and we pop up our like a photo of ourselves and then trace the contour, and then it's a way to get tracing paper on computer. It's fun.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's a great idea. Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. Lots of thank yous in the chat. Still happy to. We might actually stop. Let's stop the recording. I don't know if Alison's around to. I can't stop the recording. But anyone else got any other questions? Otherwise, I will end this meeting.
No, I'm all good.
Will I see you, Zoe? Are you coming to Praxis this year or?
No, I've actually just last week travelled up north, so I'm up past Airlie Beach for about the next 4 months. I know.
Okay.
Fun. I miss out. So hopefully I'll go next year, and hopefully
as a PhD candidate.
PhD, yeah. But what I'm wanting to do is sort of a little bit out there, and I need to communicate with a lot of different people to try and see if I can get other people on board with what I'd like to research. So that's why I thought I need to put together a little PowerPoint or something to try and generate. Yeah.
Sounds fun.
Should be. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much, everyone, for being here. Hopefully I'll see you around, Zoe.
Yeah.
When you're back in. All right.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.